Burning hatred from smiling socialists. That's the focus of tonight's angle. To truly understand how far today's Democrats have lurched to the left, then you need to watch how Zohran Mamdani's supporters treated the pro-LGBTQ, pro-late-term abortion, pro-illegal alien, climate change fanatic Kathy Hochul last night. Now, when the New York governor got up to introduce the 34-year-old socialist who leads that New York City mayoral race, the audience wasn't really interested in her remarks and tried to drown her out, chanting,
"This crowd is fired up." All right. I can hear you. You want to see Zoran or not?
tax the rich. Tax the rich? So the vocal grassroots thinks that, what, New York taxes aren't high enough? Huh. Now, mind you, New York City currently has one of the highest marginal tax rates of any city in the United States. Those making over $150,000 pay approximately 31% of the New York City tax burden. So they're already very much soaking the rich in the Big Apple. And with chants like that, no wonder the city's already seeing the Mamdani effect, where wealthy residents are planning to relocate if indeed he wins, either to Florida, Connecticut, or the New York suburbs. According to Realtor.com, agents said that since the summer, nearly every buyer from the city we've taken out to see homes in Westchester has mentioned the mayoral election as one of the drivers for shopping in the burbs. Now, when pressed on the tax the rich chant last night, Hochul did what liberals do. She tried to squirm out of answering.
I couldn't hear what they were chanting. I thought they were saying, "Let's go Bills." I wasn't sure. I mean, when you're up there, I heard some noise. I heard a lot of cheers. But later on, it became clear to me that there is I know there's passion for that.
Let's go Bills. Doesn't say anything like that. Now, there's a passion for that. Oh, there's a passion for that. Is that the new barometer for Democrats? Even if the policy advocated in the chant would actually kill the city? But Mamdani is either too stupid or too much of a diehard socialist to understand what his policies will actually do, what they'll create, which is havoc. Policies that might get a crowd going, where the government imposes price controls for everything, or everything's just free.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it.
Gosh, why didn't anyone ever think of price controls before? They've always led to disaster. Everyone remember the 70s? And beyond housing, Zohran's such a miracle worker, money will just magically materialize to pay for everything else as well.
No New Yorker should ever be priced out of anything they need to survive. And we believed then, we believe today, we will believe tomorrow that it is government's job to deliver that dignity.
You know, it's not going well if you have to put out this defense.
But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
Totally sane? Well, I guess if shrieking like a magpie qualifies as sanity, she's got it covered.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
I like the bouncing. That adds a lot to it. And not to be outdone by AOC, other New York Democrats are trying to prove their radical open borders bona fides.
Is it radical to fight to abolish ICE?
At least we know what they'll do, right? If they get back into power nationally, the floodgates will be open again. The migrant caravans, the people streaming across the Rio Grande. Remember all those videos? Come on, rapists, murderers, human traffickers, they're the only constituency today's Democrat Party truly represents. But as New Yorkers are hurtling toward the socialist cliff, our friends in Argentina averted disaster last night. Astounding the so-called experts, the people once again voted for conservative reformer Javier Milei and his party. They rejected a communist push for the same types of policies Democrats are embracing here. Milei loves his country and he loves Donald Trump. Let's just hope this is a bellwether for the GOP next year, just as the Brexit vote in 2015 was a bellwether for Trump in 2016. If only to dash the hopes of all those hopping into bed with an Islamic radical who hates America.
This is about this November's election, but take that energy, that passion, and take it into 26 so that we can take back the House of Representatives, take the Senate, and take back our country.
Oh, she wants the midterms. She's smart to say this is good here in New York, but let's just go for the real stuff next year. But 24 years after 9/11, this cannot be the man who the Democrat Party considers one of their leading lights.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt, who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Those are crocodile tears. Nearly 3,000 Americans are dead after 9/11, and that's where he goes. Someone's upset about wearing a hijab. By the way, it looks like he got a so-called trauma victim wrong. It was apparently, I guess, a distant cousin, not his aunt. Nice job, Democrats. But none of the radicalism, none of the socialism stopped Hakeem Jeffries from finally agreeing to support Mamdani. What exactly, though, is the Democrat Party embracing, other than a deep hatred of this country and our traditions? So think about Democrats like Mark Warner. He likes to project himself as a moderate. Tim Kaine, same thing. They need to either have the guts to call this out and reform their party from within, or just abandon their party and join us. But given what the Democrats did to Kristen Sinema, they drove her out of the party, and what they did to want to do with people like John Fetterman, jumping over to the GOP may be their only alternative at this point. Otherwise, boys, you better be prepared to take orders from AOC and Zoran. And that's the angle.
Fox News alert, we're expecting the president to appear momentarily in Tokyo with the Prime Minister of Japan. And we'll bring that to you live when we get it. I can see why Democrats think Trump's a king, because he gets a royal welcome wherever he goes. The president touched down to a dance party in Malaysia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Obama went to Malaysia, they didn't play the theme song from Rocky, did they? The music fits because Trump's outboxed China. 47's meeting Xi Jinping in South Korea on Thursday. Round two might be at Mar-a-Lago.
We pretty much agreed that I'll be going to China.
When is that?
In the earlier part of the year.
Okay.
And President Xi will be coming into maybe Washington or Palm Beach or someplace sometime after that.
Your 401k made a lot of money today because the China trade deal's imminent.
No, I think we're going to do well with China. I think we're going to have a deal with China. We meet, as you know, in South Korea with President Xi. I think we're going to have a good deal with China. And they want to make a deal, and we want to make a deal.
Trump told the world to choose China or America, and the world's chosen. Japan is laying it on thick. The emperor is planning a grand dinner to honor the president, and he's inviting Japan's top tycoons. The new Japanese prime minister is even planning on buying a fleet of Ford F-150 trucks. You never saw the Ford F-150 in Tokyo until we won the trade war. She's no Shinzo Abe, but Trump says she has good taste, and that's a hot truck. Cambodia one-upped the Japanese. America dropped 214 tons of bombs on them during the Vietnam War. And now, guess what they want to give our president?
I have nominated President Donald J. Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. And he, like I say, peace saved life.
Trump didn't show up empty-handed either. He brought a Sharpie. Now the United States is swimming in minerals.
Two countries are getting along really well. Today, alongside this peace treaty, we also are signing a major trade deal with Cambodia and a very important critical minerals agreement with Thailand.
Trump signed trade and mineral deals with Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Last week, Australia. Southeast Asia chose America, and China never saw it coming. Xi's been hoarding rare earths, but when Trump threatened to hit him with 100% tariffs on Halloween, they backed down. It looks like China is going to start buying our soybeans, sending over minerals, signing over TikTok, and we're just dropping their tariff rate to 40%. At the same time, we're doing one-on-one side deals with all their Asian neighbors. Everything's falling into place. The Europeans, the Arabs, and the East Asian nations are all on our side. China gets to save face, do a deal, and our stock market keeps hitting all-time highs. Inflation's beaten expectations, and we're winning the AI arms race. The panicans aren't panicking anymore. They're actually dressing up as Trump's reciprocal tariffs for Halloween. The left said Trump would destroy our alliances, but the entire world is rallying around him, especially after the Arab AI deal and the peace in the Middle East. Trump had to stop there to refuel, and the Emir of Qatar popped in.
As soon as I found out that he's coming to refuel, I said, I'm not going to allow him to take off unless I come and say hello to him.
Well, the Emir is one of the great rulers of the world, not just the Middle East. And the Prime Minister has been my friend and a friend to the world. And we've done a lot together in the last, especially in the last year. What we've done is incredible. Peace to the Middle East.
We've got the Europeans to pony up on their NATO dues, and everyone's calling Trump daddy. The only unfinished business is in Latin America. That's why narco-terrorist states are getting a taste of gunboat diplomacy. We're tightening the screws around the drug lords in Maduro, and Colombia and Brazil are on notice. We're elbowing Chinese interests out of the hemisphere. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some action in Latin America while Trump's meeting with Xi. Just a little flex while they're face-to-face. But you know who's mad? The ladies of The View. They're throwing around the D word.
You know who told us he was going to be a dictator on day one, and damn if he isn't a dictator.
All this winning has got people gossiping about a third term. There have been rumblings that Trump might run for VP in 28 and then just make Vance step down. Here's 47 on that.
You'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't do it. I think it's too cute.
Too cute. As long as Trump goes to heaven, he'll be okay with just 2 terms. But the church is worried about Chuck's chances.
Lord, remind our lawmakers that no gold medals are given for breaking shutdown records, but a crown of righteousness is given to those who take care of the lost.
The Schumer shutdown isn't getting Palestinian Chuck into heaven. Sorry, I didn't make the rules. Trump signing dozens of peace and trade deals all around the world, and Democrats can't even do one deal to open up the government. They're still suffering from ballroom derangement syndrome.
I think to really mess with him, just name it the Barack Obama ballroom, and I think that will take care of half the problem.
So don't tear it down. Don't
more
make
importantly, this is a distraction.
Barry had his chance to build a ballroom. Trump offered to do it for $100 million. Instead, he built a basketball court. So historic. What are these emperors and kings supposed to play horse? Tim Walz's daughter says Barry's ballroom would have been chic.
If it was like the Obamas, I would be like, okay, at least what they will build will be classy.
Classy? Has Timmy's little girl seen what Barack's done in Chicago? His library looks like a maximum security prison. Even the Washington Post endorsed the ballroom. Quote, the White House cannot simply be a museum to the past. Like America, it must evolve with the times to maintain its greatness. Swalwell says at the Democrat primary debate, the moderator should ask, raise your hand if you will destroy Trump's ballroom on day one. At this point, Democrats might never set another foot in the White House. The party's just a wrecking ball. Kami Mandami had a big old rally here over the weekend, and the crowd didn't hold back. AOC and Burn Dog threw Zoran a little fiesta. Kathy Hochul was there and thought they were chanting, "Let's go, Brandon."
I thought they were saying, let's go Bills. I wasn't sure. When you're up there, I heard some noise. I heard a lot of cheers. But later on, it became clear to me that I know there's passion for that.
AOC was so juiced up, she sounded like Howard Dean.
This city was built by the Irish escaping famine, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
That girl's definitely running for president. And the commie, he said everything is going to be free.
We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line. We are going to create universal child care at no cost to parents.
The Democrats poured millions of migrants into Manhattan. That jacked up the prices on everything, from rent to insurance to food. So the communists are just sweeping in and promising things that have never worked anytime, anywhere. But they swear they're not crazy.
But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
When your message is, I swear I'm not crazy, you're in trouble. And you're probably crazy. If Democrats had actually done a good job, not let the country get invaded, locked up criminals, spent trillions on windmills, the communists would have never gotten this kind of opening. They would have never gotten their foot in the door. But here we are.
We have cracks in the Schumer shutdown. They are forming tonight, and for good reason. Details surrounding a man arrested by the FBI for allegedly plotting the assassination of our Attorney General, Pam Bondi. We have a complete report. Make no mistake, violence is now all too common on the left, and here is where it gets even more concerning. Far-left extremists have never been more powerful, especially they now run the Democratic Party. In fact, it appears the Democratic Party has been totally consumed by the radicals. Case in point, Zoran Kami, Marxist Mamdani, this proud 34-year-old socialist Marxist with almost no work experience, openly pushing policies and beliefs straight out of, frankly, the Communist Manifesto, and yet he now, new poll today, he's up by double digits in New York City's mayoral race over former Governor Andrew Cuomo and our friend Curtis Sliwa. Last night, he held a massive rally in New York City where he promised cradle-to-grave socialism. In his own words, take a look.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. And use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal child care at no cost to parents.
Imagine that. Everything's free, 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 free. How's he going to pay for free? Here's the answer. From each according to their ability, to each according to their needs. In other words, taxes, wealth confiscation, property confiscation, whatever he frankly can get away with. The crowd was eating it up. Take a look. Now, of course, most of New York's top elected Democrats, they were at the rally, including Congresswoman, well, really the leader of the Democratic Party in the House, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was apparently very excited for this election. Take a look.
This city was built by the Irish escaping famine, Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country, in a vision to build the freest, toughest, and greatest city on earth.
Once freest, greatest, best city on earth. Maybe she never heard of Ellis Island. AOC also had another very important message. The radical socialists that she now controls, the Democratic Party base, are totally sane. They're not crazy at all. Not one bit. Take a look.
Must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
when you gotta proclaim you're sane anyway, yeah, totally sane. They just want to transform America into Cuba or the former Soviet Union, and a sign that socialism now has a complete stranglehold over the Democratic Party. Even New York Governor Kathy Hochul rallied in support of Zoran Commie Marxist Mamdani. Take a look.
Elect Zoran, and we take back America. Thank you, Queens. Thank you, New York. God love you guys.
Let's see. Elect Zoran. We take back America. Let me be clear. Kathy Hochul sees the writing on the wall. All of the energy, all of the enthusiasm is behind the radicals, behind Zoran, and every other socialist now in control of that party. AOC, for example, destroying Senate Leader Chucky Schumer when it comes to fundraising. Embarrassing for the so-called Senate Minority Leader. In Virginia, their gubernatorial race, Abigail Spanberger, who was once billed as a moderate, even proudly raising money with AOC's help, not Chuck. And in Maine, the Bernie Sanders-backed, Grandpa Bernie-backed socialist candidate for Senate is beating Maine's former Democratic governor in the primary by 30 points, despite all of the scandals surrounding his old postings, his old Nazi tattoo, and allegiance to Antifa. But this brings us back to Zoran Commie Marxist Mamdani. Apart from his insane beliefs, he also has faced plenty of controversy of his own. And breaking this week, another scandal. Just look at him, tear up as he recounts the true horrors of the September 11th terror attacks. His Muslim aunt, quote, stopped taking the subway after 9/11 because she did not feel safe in her hijab. Take a look.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Turned out that aunt apparently didn't live in New York City, and it gets worse. Mamdani was forced to clarify and name some different relative after claims that his aunt never lived in the U.S. But more importantly, where are the tears for the NYPD? We lost 2,977 Americans on that day. Where are the tears for the FDNY, those firemen and women and first responders that rushed? While everyone was rushing out, they rushed in the other direction to save lives. Where is the emotion 2,977 victims of 9/11, most of which died in New York City, the very city that Mamdani wants to lead. Apparently, to him, this is about, what, racism? The new radical Democratic Party. It's just not that important because, again, as of now, Mamdani, new poll, he's up by 10. Oh, Cuomo's closing. No, he's not. And I can't believe I'm saying this. Bill Maher had an excellent point. This is a time for choosing in the Democratic Party. The entire party, Democratic Party, is on the ballot in this race. This may be their tipping point of no return. Take a look.
He seems like a sweet guy, Mamdani. But I would just like to say, because the election is in a couple of weeks, this is not just New York that's on the ballot. I think the whole Democratic Party in the country is on the ballot. And the whole country will be looking at this race to see which way are the Democrats going to go. No, Andrew Cuomo may not be that exciting and that inspirational, but, for a party that said we want to get back to normal, he's kind of normal.
Well, sadly, I think there's no turning back. The socialists are in charge. They are on a mission to fundamentally transform your country. The good news tonight, there might be a surprise out of the state of New Jersey. In-person voting shows a major uptick for Republican Jack Ciattarelli over 2021, a governor's race that Ciattarelli barely lost. Now, if you live in Virginia, if you live in New Jersey, please listen to me. These are races very difficult. New Jersey is a deep blue state. Virginia leans blue. You definitely, in both cases, have a shot to save your respective states. Not going to be easy. All of you, if you don't want your Commonwealth of Virginia, if you don't want New Jersey to become New York, this might be your last chance. Go out and vote.
All right, I bet you're wondering, has Kamala made a decision yet?
Have you made a decision yet?
No, I have not.
But you say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done. I have lived my entire career a life of service, and it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I've not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
Yeah, she's not done yet. Something she always says at last call. Question is, how will she ever know? She dropped out before the first primary, somehow became vice president, then was humiliated by Trump. She doesn't know when she's had enough. Just ask the bartender at Chili's. Then there's Gavin, who says he'll consider a White House run.
I'm looking forward to who presents themselves in 2028 and who meets that moment. And that's the question for the American people.
Is it fair to say, after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying, and I can't do that.
I'd be lying, and I can't do that. Well, since you can't lie, what tequila were you nursing while the Pacific Palisades burned? And what was it like banging your campaign manager's wife? Of course, he's just waiting for us to forget that his state looks like an overturned porta potty. But with fake crime statistics and fake boobs, why not have a fake governor? In an interview last week, Newsom painted himself as a latchkey kid struggling to make ends meet.
It was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of.
Hey, it's like the White Stack Bob story.
Come on. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Bro. He watched one episode of Good Times. It's a nice story, except that it's about as flimsy as the drawstring on J.B. Pritzker's Moo-Moo. Because while Gavin was hustling, he was featured in a Children of the Rich article detailing his ties to billionaire oil man Gordon Getty. His dad worked for the Gettys, and the same Getty fortune bankrolled Gav's first business venture, a winery. This This guy owned a wine shop at 24 years old, back when yours truly was still doing nude modeling to pay for alcohol. Those pictures follow me everywhere. So the man didn't hustle for rent, he hustled the truth. It's like when Hollywood celebs say they lived out of a car before they made it. They don't tell you that the car was a Mercedes Maybach and was parked in front of their parents' mansion in Malibu. He wasn't even one of those poor kids. Hell, poor kids don't have pet otters like Gavin did. Gavin actually had a pet otter, which also means he had pet fish to feed said otter. But he's lucky he started from privilege. He never had a real job. And once he gained power, he counts on Wikipedia editors to make him working class. And then you count on nobody bothering to look it all up, which is a bad strategy in this day of Grok and ChatGPT and a public who no longer believes anything coming from the media. But the entire party depends on ignorance as a survival mechanism. Whether it's White House renovations, Gav's fake origin story, Joe Biden's health cover-up, everything the Dems deny can be exposed with something as simple as a Google search. The days of a journalist having to do a deep dive for 3 days to find the truth, that's over. Hell, I can discover the truth between sets on my thigh, master. But this party believes their supporters won't bother to check. And in politics, that's easy because who wants to look up anything? Unless it's a celebrity's nudes or the next time I'm in town, or if you're a super fan, both. But that brings us to the socialist from Queens who believed the worst outcome of 9/11 was Islamophobia, citing his aunt who stopped using the subway.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Oh, poor thing. I don't know about you, but I think worse things happened on and since 9/11. And she not using the subway, she was just ahead of us. Not riding the subway is what people do to avoid getting murdered by people her nephew protects. And not only that, it wasn't even her freaking aunt, but actually a deceased distant cousin, he clarified on Monday. Probably never happened, let's be honest. But once again, here's where Google becomes the left's kryptonite. In 25 years since, I've come across 3 murders directly attributed to anti-Arab hatred. Meanwhile, a study by the Department of Justice estimates that 23 to 27 honor killings occur annually in the U.S. But Zoran expects you to express complete empathy for people like this relative, but never the same empathy for victims of October 7th or crime in general. But Dems are more interested in seeking votes than seeking the truth. And they assume their supporters will never check the paper trail. That's the point. The past doesn't matter. The truth doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you don't look it up. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He shades between shows, but not his face. Host of the Guy Benson Show, Guy Benson. Democrats accuse her of unnecessary roughness. Host of the Michelle Tafoya podcast, Michelle Tafoya. You may have seen this comedian selling his own blood. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. And she moonlights as a skeleton at a medical college. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor captive. Guy, there's so many in that brilliant monologue that I don't even know what to ask you except that who is lying the most? So Kamala, Dana Perino makes a good point. She might be saying this to keep the book tour going and to maintain an interest, so she's lying there. But then you have Gavin, who just takes on a whole persona of somebody that he was just raising himself while opening a winery.
And then Zoran with the aunt who doesn't exist.
The aunt who doesn't exist. I guarantee, and the deceased, is the cousin deceased?
Deceased, distant cousin.
Yes!
It's the perfect, that you can never prove that wrong now.
Yes.
But it's going from
like
your aunt to that.
Yeah, it's like your Canadian girlfriend.
Oh, I don't claim to have one of those anymore.
Yes!
So I'm going to go with Gavin on this one, and I don't understand why people do this. Like, don't be this inauthentic. The story that was written about him in the San Francisco Chronicle in 1991 calls him a society kid. Let me read from it briefly. Gavin Newsom, 24, thinks he and his business partner are doing their families, who are wine collectors, a favor. His first ever quote in print, "We can save them some money and also give them access to better quality wines." That's a tough upbringing there,
not
Gavin.
me at 24.
So, and by the way, good for him. If he's got enough money to start a wine company in his early 20s, that's fine. But don't pretend that you were subsisting off of Wonder Bread and mac and cheese.
Yeah.
It's such an obvious lie. Trump, by contrast, is very rich. He's like, I'm really rich.
Yeah.
And so, he flies around in an airplane with his name on it.
Yeah.
Right. He builds buildings with his name on it. He eats Big Macs on his airplane and then sits on his golden toilet. He doesn't pretend to be anything other than what he is. Gavin should just own the fact that he's a rich kid.
Yeah, but here's the deal, Michelle. He was on an NBA podcast. So there was this is one of that it's the racism of, it's a different kind of racism, but he changed his persona. These black guys understand white bread and raising in a single household. I can't talk about my wine to them, but Trump would. Trump would, because Trump would understand that the NBA guys are aspirational. They want to be him.
And a lot of them drink wine. I know an NFL player who makes wine. This is not a lie. I'm going to tell you right now. When I got up this morning, I listened to a podcast, and the host said, I want you to imagine just the first person who comes to your mind who really, really annoys you, because I want to make you accept that person. And the first person that came to my mind was Gavin Newsom. I swear to God. Now, I grew up in California, so I'm really pissed off about everything he's done there, including all these lies. And I hate that these NBA guys or these basketball guys sort of bought what he was selling. Like, you should know better than that. Now, California is known for a couple things. One of them is wine. Unlike fine wine, Kamala does not age well. So the more time she's out there, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So that's that kind of wine, okay? And then there's...
They left the cork off.
They left the cork. And then I'm going to just take you... You and I were on the same wavelength. So Newsom and his Plump Jack wine...
Yeah.
Let me read you his quote. Plump Jack is about demystifying the wine buying experience and removing the intimidation factor. Two elements that were in short supply in the wine world in 1992 when the store opened. Suddenly, there was a place where consumers could learn about wines in a friendly, helpful atmosphere, where they could feel free to ask questions, where the selection was large and the prices fair, and where, in homage to the store's Shakespearean namesake, wine was once more associated with the spirit of fun and adventure.
Yeah,
As though it never was. I mean, what is he trying to sell?
What he was trying to do was he gets the guys in on the wine and he bangs their wives. Go ahead.
I gotta say, if I was a campaign manager and somebody banged my wife, I'd be very upset. But you know what I would do?
What?
I would pretend for a while that I did not know, and I would just, kind of undermine the campaign from the inside.
Yes.
I would keep scheduling interviews that I would tell him would be friendly, and then they would not be friendly. And then I'd do it a few times, and I'd be like, you know what? This has really been a tough break. Why don't we all get together with your family, bring some of your confidence up? While we're all there, I seduce his dad. So now I've tanked your campaign, and I'm your stepmom.
And I like it. I like it when you put some thought into these segments.
Thank you.
And also, you'd be super rich then.
Yeah. Exactly.
You'd be his mother-in-law.
Joe, do you have any plans like that with Nancy Pelosi?
Look, I don't understand why you guys can't relate. I remember when I was a kid, and I had my first paper route in winery. It's so hard to find Merlot that pairs well with macaroni and cheese.
So true.
Yeah, I mean, he could barely afford to have his childhood Tai Chi lessons. So it's easy for him to lie because he's an empty, soulless reptile person. So he'll just assume whatever persona is there. Kamala's not quite as good at that. They actually found that she's polling as a less viable candidate than Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, which I don't know why that's surprising. She should be polling less than an actual rock.
Yes.
How stupid she is. But Zoran is the one who's got me the most scared. And he's proof of the expression when people say, well, things can't get any worse. And now we have him. Because you remember the good old days when we made fun of Bill de Blasio because he ate a slice of pizza with a knife and fork?
Yeah.
Now we got Mondami shoveling food into his mouth with his hands. So what's the next mayor going to be eating ramen with his feet? Like, what's going on with this city here? And I say that not to be culturally insensitive, but you know at his zillion-dollar wedding, they had some pretty fancy-ass silverware going on. So I don't want to hear about this as a cultural thing here.
Yeah, no.
He's just a liar.
He majored, how do you pronounce the name of his college? Bowdoin?
Bowdoin.
He is, do you know what he graduated in? Africana Studies.
Yeah.
Africana. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
Well, he's from Uganda.
Oh, yeah?
So, whatever that means.
No, he actually was born there. That's why he was African. But
Yeah.
he's not African. He just happened to be born there.
Yeah.
It would be like me being born in a Walmart and claiming I'm a member of the Walmart family.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.